not gonna give the AI conversation we had. Yeah.
Yeah, not much, man.
Yeah.
Like, obviously,
I mean, a lot's happened since I saw you last time. But,
so when was that? That was late
probably that was like your
October.
after your Aussie K1 title in Central Coast.
That's right. Yeah, but I think it was a few weeks before I was supposed to be fighting for the WKBF one.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think it probably would have been the week after we did that podcast. I broke my hand sparring.
Yeah.
So that was like it's one of those things like you know it comes with the sport, right? There's injuries, so you can't be too annoyed. It was just a mad uppercut.
Yeah.
Like I just stepped back and just timed it perfectly. But the guy I was sparring, I won't drop any names. He didn't do anything wrong, but he just, because I stepped back, he came into it a bit, and then when I threw the uppercut, it hit him right on that, that's the hardest bit. And straight away I was like, oh, that didn't feel right. But sometimes, because you know yourself from sparring, sometimes you punch and you connect on a bony bit and it hurts. You're like, oh, it's just the shock of it.
Yeah.
So I kept on sparring. I feel something wasn't right. I took my glove off and I look at my hand and it was like, it looked like this knuckle had been knocked back here. Like it was just like a lump there.
Fuck.
Yeah.
It's the first time you had like some sort of serious injury, right?
Yeah.
Fuck,
so
man.
And went to the doctor, and originally they said I wouldn't need surgery, but then keeping it then they thought, well, like the surgeon was saying, well, actually, because of what you are doing for a career, the bone was like that, right, when it broke. So it will heal like that, and then
over time, if it keeps getting a knock, it's just only going to get blood again.
So he said your options are wait till it breaks worse, or get surgery now, and wait a little bit longer to return. And I said, okay, well, get surgery now. So I got a nice little scar.
Nice.
There, and got a plate in there.
Definitely pick up some ladies with that shit.
Chick stick scars.
You gotta go in there.
What's up?
You gotta either get that or a fucking bionic hand, bro.
So a little bit of metal in there now, so I'll be interested to see that.
Yeah. So how was the whole rehab? What did that entail, man? Just a lot of strength exercises.
Yeah.
Eventually, when you were allowed to start. Kind of playing around with it, moving it.
Yeah. So and patience as well. I think patience
it's more harder than anything else.
But the good thing was, it's not. When people get a leg injury or something lower body, it really limits what they can do, because say although their upper body's fine, when you're moving around you need your legs and you can't put in pressure. Luckily for me, I could still throw, I could even throw a left elbow. Do you know what I mean? So I could still do a lot. It's still like that. It's still frustrating that you can't, you're when you're an athlete and you're trying to be at peak performance, when you holding back, it just plays on you mentally. So,
and sometimes in the midst of it all, we might forget and throw that fucking hand, bro. That's the worst thing about it all. 100%. You know what I mean? You might have 8 limbs and 8 different, but fuck, you just throw that. You'll throw that hand when it, you know what I mean? And you're like,
it's there.
And it's there. It's like a reaction thing, right? As much as you tell yourself, man, I can't use my I can't use my hand. Fucking someone comes at you. The first thing you're thinking is, I'm gonna throw my hand at it.
Conor McGregor. But it was, that's the thing. That's right. And I didn't spar until it was pretty much better just for that. Because even if it gets hit or something like that, it's so. But it was one thing was when you're because being a fighter, you feel more confident in on the streets and you can defend yourself. But when you've got an injury like that, you're always in your head, you're like, oh, I'm not as I'm a bit more vulnerable now.
Although you got long fucking legs and whatever. That's just how it is, man. But it would have been good for you. It would have taught you, definitely would have taught you patience at a whole another level. But it's a good thing too, man. Patience seems to be the toughest thing for a lot of people.
Especially when you know yourself when you're trying to achieve something. Patience is okay. It's not my time now. I've just got to sit back and do what I can. And then,
Especially because a lot of people are like, if it can be done, you're not worried about it's going to take time to get done. No, like, for example, if you had something to do, you're like, I want to do it tomorrow. I want to do it now. You know, some people I'm like that. I've got to learn to understand it. It's not going to happen like that. You know what I mean? But it's not a bad thing. It's just you're so fucking hungry. You're willing to fucking do whatever it takes to just do it now. Or, you know, if you have to get up in the morning and do it, but it's not going to happen tomorrow morning. It might happen next week. It might happen a year from now. But your mentality is, I want to do it tomorrow because I'm hungry and I want to get it done. You know, so
I guess the mindset.
So how is it now, man?
No, it's good. It's like, it's still a little bit tender.
Yeah.
If I catch it in a certain way, but it's good. Like fully sparring, hitting the pads. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. It's still like a little bit of scar tissue there and stuff, but I think
that's meant tend to be like a normal thing.
Yeah. Scar tissue, yeah. I think because the body, obviously, my knowledge of it's not great, but the body sends more of. Invest more healing into that area, so then it builds up extra, because obviously essentially you're sliced open, aren't you? The bones put back into place, and then so your body doesn't know that you're having surgery to fix something. It doesn't know what surgery is. It's just like, oh, something's happening here. Send all that stuff there. But so it's all, our surgeon cleared me to hit with it. Hand physio, like the hand physio I was going to, discharged me. So
nice.
And
your first pro fight, bro. Last time we spoke, I asked you. I don't know if you remember, but I asked you, when are you planning to go pro? So.
And what did I can't remember what I said.
I think you said. I mean, you said you were just. You're working. You just kind of had a few more things you wanted to accomplish as amateur fighter, and I think a few more fights in the forefront, and and work on a few things before you. How does it feel, man? I mean, it's a big accomplishment. Obviously, you know, it's your first pro fight and whatnot, but man, for those who don't know, like I remember when Charlie walked into the gym. I used to train at Evolution, so shout out to Adrian. But it's always good, man. It's always good to see someone put in work. So it's this month, March.
Yes, and it's in
2 weeks, 3 weeks,
10 days. So it'll be on Friday. So. So
your opponent's from interstate,
Yes, from Cairns. So I think originally from Papua New Guinea. I think lives in Cairns now.
Nice.
But so
how's your preparation been?
It's good, man. Like, so it was really, so obviously I was scheduled to have an amateur fight for this Friday, actually, and then my opponent, but he broke his hand, so had to pull out. So I could understand.
You can't hate on him now. Now that you've got an injury, you can't hate on him.
You recognise why. So I messaged him. I said, I've been in that boat. Rest up, and make sure you come back stronger. And then it was just hard to find another opponent. Shout out Nick Stone, Warner North Shore. He was keen to get me on the show, and he was just looking, like he said, he was looking interstate all over, and he just couldn't find an amateur opponent. Asked a few other promoters, they were looking, couldn't find anyone. It was offered to a few people, and I think it's just hard to get an opponent. So this opportunity to turn pro came up on Steve Jez's show, which is what I'm going to be fighting on now. And it just felt right. Like it felt. I think it's. Like I know, like I had all plans to do certain things, but if you can't get fights, then what? What do you do? Exactly, you're not gonna just sit around. So now, from going, I think before probably what I'd said was, maybe win a few international titles, like get a few, and now I've broken my hand, and now I'm turning pro.
Well, when your story's told one day, that'll be the pinnacle moment. Exactly. I broke my hand and said, "Fuck, it's time to go pro."
So it doesn't sound like, from that external, doesn't sound like it adds up, but it felt right, and I think
you know more than anyone, bro.
And it was sort of a decision that we got that advice from a few people, then sat down with Adrian and Mia and had a chat, and it just seems, I think for a few fights now I felt like I could turn pro and that was an option, but I wanted, like, I've only been training 4 years.
For me, man, like, and not to take anything away from people who fight pro, fight amateurs, but like, there's a difference. I mean, compared to, I guess, the rest of the world, there is a difference in standard. But number two, I believe the one thing that I've seen from from training with pros and how they carry themselves, it's really it's your mind state. It's a different mind state. It's you know, your skills, and you know, training hard is just, it's part of the process. If you're not going to train hard, whether you're an amateur or a pro, you're not going to fucking get anywhere. But I feel like when you go pro, it's just the way you carry yourself, like, and then especially outside of the ring. And that, I felt like that's what really stood out to me, was taking care of your body, discipline, you know, how you eat, and how you go about it week in, week out. You know, putting in work is like, shouldn't even be a question. Like, I don't even like to talk about it. Putting in work, like, fuck, we're not, you know what I mean? Like, if you're talking about putting in work, then you're not, you know what I mean? You're not really talking the same language. So I have no doubt in my mind, bro. I mean, I asked you this question before you even decided, because in my eyes, I was like, well, really, like, you should be there and thereabouts, if not ready. You know what I mean? Because it's more a mind state. It's more how you carry yourself, and you carry yourself really well, and you train really hard and look after yourself, and check out his vlog too. You know, which is smart. You know, having your own vlog and getting people to kind of dive into what you do week in, week out. So. And that's awesome, man. I mean, and it's good that obviously your coaches support you as well. Everyone on your team, whoever's around you, support you, and it's exciting, man. I mean, it's not easy to get to this point, and you know, especially not just fighting, but mentally, you know, for you to feel like you're ready. It's a big step, but it's I mean, I'm not sitting here thinking, you know, is he jumping into this? But like, I'm probably with you in the sense, maybe a couple of fights ago, I thought you're probably ready, because I just feel like a lot of it is to do with the professionalism of how you carry yourself. And, you know, if you carry yourself professionally, then I believe that you'll get the rewards, you know what I mean? And you do carry yourself professionally. So, but yeah, funny enough, Steve Jez's show's the first show I ever fought on.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, fuck it, that's what I saw wrong about this guy. Yeah, Steve Jez. That guy, man, what a night. I remember I had my ankle. I bought this brand new fucking ankle brace. Support. And I'm in the back, and it was a Bonnyrigg Sports Club.
Yeah,
so I know
that's very
Fuck, I remember this. My
good
parents.
venue, or is it?
Yeah, it's a good venue. Yeah. Interesting venue, bro. And but it was just like, I just remember they had like balconies and shit. So like, it was my first ever amateur fight. So I was like, fuck, you know. I was in the back, and then he came in, and like some of these guys wanted, like some dudes before my fight wanted to borrow my ankle brace and shit. So I was like, yeah, fuck, I just rip it out of my plastic, bro. Thinking, I bought this shit. You know. And they fucking walked off with it. He comes back in, he goes, hey man, they're taking your ankle brace. I'm like, you fucking serious, man? Who does that? And then, so this is even before my fight comes out, but man, I remember I had like maybe 5 rows to myself. And I remember I was walking, and the stairs to go up, and I smacked my foot on the bottom of the metal stairs, and I didn't want to fucking flinch, but inside I was like, fuck. And then we got in, and then something happened with the fucking ice bucket, or ice, it just broke and it spilled and shit. And I was just fucking funny, man. It was a great fight, but it was just, I just remember the lead up to it, and just like that night, and then it was hectic, man. Everyone was going off, and I remember Steve just came, shook my hand and stuff, and because you know I sold him a bit of tickets for this one, so he was a bit happy about that. But he's a funny bloke, man. He's a funny bloke. But that was the first one, man. That was the first time I ever competed in. So that's when I saw. That would have been where are we now? 2020. So probably 2016 or something. Something like that.
4 years ago.
Something like that would have been, I would say. But and I remember, that's when I saw it up, I was like, fuck, what a small world, man. I was like, I think I know someone else that might be competing in that, but is it a mixed show?
Yeah, I think they show.
It is, right? Because they had MMA and stuff like when I was
boxing sometimes as well.
Because I think one of the guys from the Bombers is fighting that night too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's why. Because he fights he used to train under Steve Jez. I think, or train with him, but I'm pretty sure he's on this card too. Because I saw his first, and then I saw yours, and I was like, oh shit, they're gonna be on the same night.
I think it's good as well, because it shows like it's good for the people watching, they can see a little bit of boxing,
bit of variety. A bit of variety, When is it, a Saturday night?
It's Friday night.
Oh, it's a Friday night. Okay, cool.
So so not this Friday, but the next.
The next Friday. And is there anything different that you've been doing, or just to set, just getting better at whatever else, whether it's just strength and conditioning, recovery.
It's like you said, I think my mentality was that I'm going to prepare for every fight in my amateur career in a professional way. So it's kind of, I feel like it doesn't feel that different because I feel like I've been there every time before. Yeah. The only difference now is that it's 3-minute rounds.
And the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Which is what makes it more fun. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because if it's low stakes and it's, now it's like, okay, now this is where opportunities come. Get a good win. Oh, you're professional now. Another big show might come knocking or something like that. So so because you got to view it. I know it's high stakes. You got to view it like a game as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because what's the point? Otherwise, you're not going to have fun with it.
I mean, I think it's beautiful. What else is going to get you fucking out of bed, man? You know what I mean? Like, you got to. That sense of okay, I gotta be on my, I gotta be on my game. Yeah. That's exactly what you need, man. Definitely. If you lose that spark, then what's it worth getting up? What the fuck, you know what I mean? It's not like, you're not getting paid $1 million yet. You know what I mean? So you gotta have something motivating. Not on the open.
YouTube
that's it. That's why I said yet. Keyword yet. Yeah. But I saw you recently, man. I wanted to ask you about it because I'm an addict when it comes to recovery. You did the infrared sauna, right?
Oh yeah.
How was that, man?
Yeah, so infrared, it's good. It's different because it's.
Yeah, what was different about it?
So obviously, I did get it explained to me that. So the main difference I felt was, I think when you first go in there, you don't sweat as much because the infrared light or the heat, whatever it is, it's heating you or affecting you at a cellular level.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Whereas with a conventional sauna, it's just hot. Yeah, and you just sweat like a hot day. It's just, but this is actually affecting your cells. So I think boost the recovery process, stuff like that. There's different settings they can set it to where you get a higher heart rate. So it's like so it's real good for recovery because you're not actually using your muscles or using any energy, but it's boosting your heart rate, getting your blood pumping around, flushing the system out.
Yeah. It's just more an advanced level.
That.
And how
some sci-fi stuff.
Yeah. Seems like you've gone on more of a fucking knowledge, in a learning spree the last few months about so much shit now. Huh?
I had to.
That's it. Well, you need to know. Yeah, it's good for you. How was the experience? How'd you feel after and stuff?
Yeah,
Did
good.
you notice anything? Or?
So I think I haven't done the infrared sauna for a while. I think probably what you saw me do, I did recently. I did cryotherapy, hyperbolic chamber, and then there was a red light treatment. But the infrared sauna was
so the red light treatment. Maybe that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay. So that didn't really feel like anything. I think that was. It's just the red light is supposed to be good for rejuvenating your skin and stuff like that.
This is more for modeling.
Yeah. Just to look pretty.
Yeah, that's
part of the game.
Yeah, that's it.
But it was, I think, with that one was, it's the hyperbolic and the red light. It's just sort of, I think the hyperbolic, I was in there for an hour, so that boosts the oxygen level in the air. Is that what it does? It increases the amount. Yeah, I think it increases the amount of oxygen in the air. So you're breathing in a much higher, a much higher proportion of oxygen. So that's good. You come out feeling pretty fresh. Apparently, 1 hour in there is equivalent to 8 hours of sleep.
Oh wow!
So it's better, especially so people that are busy. They're not getting their sleep. I was thinking when I was in there, I was like, I'd be sick one day to get one of these for my house. Can you imagine you just chilling there for an hour, you can read or do some whatever you need to do, and then you just come out feeling fresh. Yeah. The red light treatment, I think that's more of like you don't feel the benefits, but it probably does benefit your skin.
Of course, yeah.
I did the cryotherapy as well.
Yeah.
That's but for me, I think I do ice baths as well. I don't know.
What do you prefer, man? Because there is a split between what people prefer.
I prefer ice baths.
I think I'm leaning towards that as well.
Yeah.
I think for a proper ice bath, you need a proper bath. You know what I mean? You can't have like something that holds like a fucking tanker full of water. You know what I mean? You need a So that's why I kind of wait for us to move to a new place because we've got a perfect. So I looked at my wife and said, "See that's a proper ice bath." So now I can have a proper one. Yeah, So okay, cool. Cry. I mean, cry is more. I mean, it's good, but I've seen a lot of people prefer ice baths over the cryo, and I mean, they both do their job anyway. It's just one's much more cheaper than the other.
And also the cryos is like
when I've been in water too. Which is I think feels good. It just feels good.
And the cryo, it feels. For me, it felt a bit weird, like because it's some sort of it's like a chemical. I don't know what it's. You're not supposed to breathe in what it's like pumping out, and
because you're not meant to. Breathe in the fumes and all that.
Yeah, shit, right? So you kind of think, and then you're getting down to minus 190, and then you think, you know, if you're in there for over 3 minutes, you have a chance of getting burnt a little. I don't know. For me, it's. I think the ice bars. The risk reward.
Whether they're there for fucking 10 minutes or 15 minutes, it's whatever, right?
But so that's been good. Actually, there's actually a place that opened up in Bella Vista that's run by one of my mates and his mum called City Cave, and they do they're doing float tanks and they do infrared sauna.
It's good to know, man.
The open day was on Saturday night.
Nice. Okay, cool.
And the cool thing about the thing about float tanks that people get put off by is that it's actually a bit claustrophobic.
Yeah, because it gets. I've seen them.
This is like a room with like a pool, like a float pool. Like it's nice as. And then the infrared sauna is good in there as well. Yeah.
Because I've seen the float tanks. And it's like the thing that would put off people is being.
Exactly.
In there, and then they're like, oh fuck, some people just wouldn't be able to handle it. But I know people that have done it, and man, they fucking love it. They've come out feeling like amazing.
I've done it a few times. It's crazy. You just become, because it's sensory deprivation. Water's heated to the the level, skin like body temperature, complete darkness if you want. You literally just become like a floating mind, consciousness. That's what it feels. It's crazy.
Start fucking hallucinating and shit.
And then it's just a weird feeling, just floating, and then you can feel where your body's tight, and then it's like because it's heavier in those spots, and you can just sort of mentally start relaxing, and it's crazy all these things that are now just commonplace that are just stuff like the hyperbolic chamber, hyperbaric chamber, not hyperbolic. So it's just
because I know the hyperbaric chamber and stuff, like they were using that. I know footy players are using that a lot during the week and shit because they play week in, week out. Or a lot of like athletes that compete in sports that are like week in, week out, they use it because it's like, it's almost like an extended period of time of recovery compressed into a short time frame, right? So it gets them ready for the next week and shit. So, man. So what's like, and then so you've just been training, you've just been What's training like? How's training kind of been with sparring and?
It's good.
And I've seen that you've kind of been moving around to different places as well, like different spots. And I saw Josh Kaliba as well. Sparring with him and their group and with Bam Bam and all those guys as well. It must be a good experience. Just being around different. I mean, not even just different spar partners, but guys that are at different levels in their game too. Right? I'm sure you can get little gems from them. And
definitely. Yes, I haven't sparred Ty since last year. I was sort of helping him out for his UFC fight. That was a good experience because it's like that saying, isn't it? There's three sort of people that you want to be around. There's people that are, that are at a level, not below you, but they're at a level where you can help them out and you can raise them up. And there are people that you need to have peers that are on that same level as you that you can, share ideas with, help build each other up. And there's people that are at a level where you want to get to and you can learn from them and they can humble you and stuff like that. So I always try with my sparring, I think a lot of people go wrong with sparring is that they stay comfortable. I think what I always enjoyed I wouldn't say enjoyed doing, but what helped me was that every week I'd go and spar somewhere else. So even if you know the people, you're going to an uncomfortable environment where you're not in your gym. They've got that. Okay, this guy's coming into my gym. Like this is my 100%. Territory. You're going to someone else's territory where you've got to be humble, and so it makes you feel. You get that little sense, those nerves when you're on the drive there. So it's kind of recreating that fight feeling. So I think that's if I recommend any fighter at any level, do that more. Go and just get uncomfortable and put yourself out there, because it's
that was the same advice I was given, bro, when I was getting into boxing and stuff, and with sparring and stuff. Is obviously Ricky, he's big on that. He goes all over the place to spar with so many different people, even pad holders. When I went to Legends once, and there's always something someone will teach you or you'll learn, you know what I mean, that you think you knew, or you probably didn't even think about it, and you're like, fuck,
It's a different way of doing things.
But like the one thing that you mentioned was just the scenario. The scenario puts you in that, oh fuck, I'm going up, I'm going to war, and especially I know with boxing gyms, it's heavy. Like you go in a boxing gym to spar boxing, and you go to another gym. I mean, I was lucky because I had guys come and spar me for my fight from two different gyms into the gym. But it's just the way that the rings were surrounded, and it was just chaos. But I mean, I would get told stories about going to other gyms, and it's just, they want your blood, you know what I mean? Because you're in their gym.
I want to knock you
out. And then when you fuck them over, it's like dead quiet. And you're like, fuck, you know what I mean? So, So,
territory for sure. Like,
man. So it's good. I mean, that's something, I as long as I remember, and I've known you, since you kind of took it serious, you've been doing that. You've been trying to go spar with different people, so which is a big plus, I think. So, and you meet new people, and create new relationships, and
doors open elsewhere.
And that's it, man. That's exactly it, and that's the number one thing. Doors will open in places. You're like, fuck, I didn't thought this would happen, but you got to put yourself in that position for it to happen.
You're never gonna know.
Exactly. And how you feeling going into this fight, man? Mentally and physically, and is it any different? I mean, I know you touched on the fact that it's no different to how you feel bitter, but is it? Do you feel? How do you mentally feel? Is it any different to when you were competing in amateurs and getting ready for an amateur fight? In contrast to the fact that, like we spoke about, the stakes are high, but it's not a bad thing. But it's exciting. I think you would be more excited than anything, right? Because it's.
It always felt like with amateur, I've been lucky that in terms of support, I've always had big turnouts to the fight for amateur and stuff like that. So I always feel like.
Crowds behind you.
Crowd. But I always wanted to put that. I knew that by promoting the fights here, so I'd always promote my amateur fights a lot, because I knew that by getting a lot of people interested, getting a lot of people involved or invested in it, that it put pressure on me. So I was putting pressure on myself to be able to learn to deal with that. So that when I turn pro, it's not like I've just been in the shadows doing my amateur, and then suddenly I turn pro, and then everyone's eyes on, and it's just, oh god, all this stuff happening. So it's kind of, it doesn't really feel too different. I think the difference, the mindset I'm trying to take is with amateur, because I was fighting on amateur shows mainly, I would be main event, and it was for like the Australian title. So you kind of had that feeling that you're at the top of the amateur game. Now with professional, I'm trying to take that humble mindset of, okay, now I'm at the bottom of the rungs.
Bottom of the food chain.
I've got to build myself
do it all over again.
Exactly. Which is cool. It's
which is fine. Exactly. And how has kind of the support been in terms of not just turning up to fights, but has the support been since you? I mean, I'm sure the inner circle would have known you were going to make this move. But what's kind of the support been for you?
It's always good, man. Like, I'm sure. I'm still at that stage where the haters don't show their faces. Do you know what I mean?
Even if there isn't haters, bro, it's good to just create some haters. You know what I mean? You need some haters.
Haters out
it's gonna be like, when DJ Khaled goes, they don't want me to do this. They don't want me to, like, who the fuck is they? Like, they is a negative people.
And it's weird, you do have that they. You always think, they want you to fail. As I say, if you're a hater and if you're watching this, you're actually just a fan. But the support's good, man. Like, we had one of my boys was leaving to England, and we had his farewell drinks.
Yeah.
And so I've got like a close group of schoolmates. There's about 7 of us all up, and we've been mates since year 7. They're at every fight. They just like so supportive. So supportive. Man. Like it gives me goosebumps talking about it, because we just all support each other. It's become a real, like, you know, at school, like you have those school and early 20s, like late teens. You have those like ups and downs where you're like, you know, have little like fallings out, like minor. But now it's like it's all just like love and support, and we keep each other humble and. So, but we were all there, and I wanted to keep them together, like the 7 of us. There's actually one of them was in the Gold Coast, Tony, so he wasn't there, but I called him up and told him, but there were the 6 of us there, and I told them I had some news for them. And then when I said, okay, I've got to fight, guys, they were like, yeah. And I was like, March 13th, and then that was close, so they were pumped. They're like, yeah. And I was like, professional debut, and they all just went, oh. It's just like a mad moment.
But it feels good, man.
Yeah,
it feels good. Anyone that says it doesn't, anyone that says, no, I don't give a fuck, anyone thinks it's bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it feels good to have that love and support from you know, from people that genuinely care about it, you know what I mean?
And share it.
And it drives it, and it shares it, because it's, you know, especially like, you never realize when you're so caught up in what you're doing, what it means to other people.
Yeah.
You know, and what it does for other people. And you know, especially when, like, say for me, I mean, there, you know, off camera, there's some things that I'm planning, which I'll tell you off camera. But you know, so but like, you know, when I get messages from like the OGs, and when I mean OGs, I mean like the older people, older people from a community or whatever, and seeing how proud I make them. Whether it's through the podcast and stuff, like I've got messages on the side, even though I don't talk about it, put it up or whatever. It always surprises me, because what really surprises me is they don't have to. And number 2, it's the people that do it. You're like, oh fuck, I didn't see that coming from you. You know, but then you see, like, they're always there. You know, you post something, you know, they're on it, you know what I mean? And they, you know, they privately DM me. They're like, man, I'm so proud of what you're doing. I love how you know, and I had like messages from people from like Canada, like Toronto, like I got family, like, you know, I got a whole hood there, bro, you know? So like they're messaging me, and it was just crazy. And it happened like in the last couple of months, especially when I had like, Yol on, who is the Somalian refugee. When I had him on, like, people were like, oh fuck, because everyone thought it was just going to be fighters and shit. And I said, man, just give me time, I'll fight, you know, like, oh, you know, and I always knew my plan. I always knew where I'm heading with this, you know what I mean? So, you know, especially when they saw that, and they were like, you know, the fact that you're giving time for someone to be able to speak about their journey and what they've been through, you know, to them it's like, wow. But for me, it's like, it's the most decent fucking human thing I could do with my platform. That's the reason I created it, is that because these stories need to be heard, you know. Some people need to just be put in check to realize, man, like, there are some people going through some real fucking shit, and you're out there being, you know, some arrogant, egotistic, you know what I mean, when really, man, like, you know, we all are connected by one thing, that's love, man. Whether they want to admit it or not, whether they want to accept it or not, it doesn't matter, you know. So, and I always say, like, no one knows how I feel afterwards. Like, after a podcast is done, it's like I fucking finally got that 98 in the UAE, you know, the UAI, and you know, that my mum always wanted, which I never got. But that's just how I feel. I feel like I'm fucking, you know, I'm on my honors right now, you know, but that's how I feel. But,
you're just speaking,
you know, it's
your
funny.
truth, you know?
And things are just, and it's because, this is not just because, oh, podcast is a big thing, and, you know, obviously, it's gonna, you know, I want it to get to a certain level, and it's not because podcast is a thing now. Like, these are things that people don't understand. It took me 8-9 years to even get to this point. From a thought and an idea to how do I go about it, to, okay, who do I have on? Like, everyone that's coming or on, or people even from there, I'm meeting through my journey, and then I see them, so I reach out to them. Like, I reached out to fighters and said, hey man, I want you on. I like what you know, I like what you're about. I like your story, and you know, it's you got to do it at a grassroots level. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do it at this level before. And that's why, like, I had a few people come up to me and compare. You know what I mean? And just like, oh, and I said, man. So for example, you know, I had someone that said, oh, and I knew they were going to bring this up. Like, I just know, like, you know, and they're like, oh, Joe, you know, Joe Rogan and this and that. I said, hey, bro, have you ever watched Joe Rogan's first ever podcast?
Yeah.
He's like, nah. I said, you know how it looked? He goes, nah, exactly. When did you start watching it? Whenever the whole world started watching it.
When it's getting millions.
Yeah, when it's getting millions of views. You know what I mean? He's the highest paid podcaster now. But he's been doing it for fucking 10 years, 15 years. You know what I mean? So, it's, people just don't appreciate the process, man. That's why, like, you know, I know you going into this will appreciate where you were and where you're now and where you're planning to go. You know what I mean? But it's everything in between that matters the most, because that's when you really figure out who the fuck you are and who you're trying to be. You know what I mean? So, you know, even with the podcast or you know, whatever it is, it's you know, it's funny because, for example, like, and it's not to, you know, it's not to hate. It's just, I'm telling you, I just telling you as I see it. It's facts. I'm not even going to lie about it. It's facts. Is that people see it, people view it, right? But people don't understand, or people do understand the algorithm of social media, right? And the algorithm of social media is, if you get behind people that support him, you're opening doors and you're basically giving him more of a viewership by the rest of the world, by getting behind them. And you know, you don't have to fucking share every single thing, but there's that fear. There's that fear, like, you know, you could see it, like we're talking about the hate, you could see they're watching, but we've got to a point now where we are afraid to even click like. But how the fuck can a video get 150 views? So obviously 150 people watched it. Now out of that 150 people, at least 90% of those people are people that have been directly marketed to, whether it's in your following you or you following them, or they're kind of like their immediate, you know what I mean? So, and that's just how the algorithm works, and everyone knows that. But it's the fear of oh, I like what you're doing. Like, that's what I mean. It's like, don't come up to me in the street and say, I like what you're doing, and you're afraid to support it, man. You know what I mean? But one day, it's not going to be 150 views. One day, it's going to be 1,000 views, 5,000 views, 10,000 views. And then it's like, oh, it's okay to fucking support it now. Because Matt, Tom, Jill, Scott, and all these random motherfuckers like it. So if they like it, I like it. But you had a chance to fucking support me. You know what I mean? So that's when I feel like that's what people... anyone, not even just whether you're podcasting, whether you want to be an athlete, whether you want to fucking, I don't know, be a librarian, whatever you want to do, you've got to get that shit out of your head. Just go and create content, go create what you're trying to do, and just keep doing that. And over time, you realize that the support, other than your immediate, you know, people that genuinely support you, it'll be other people that are randoms that are gonna come and be like, dude, I like what you like. I saw your thing and I'm a big fan. You know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, and that's what happened. And I started getting love from these random people I wouldn't have expected from, but like real love. Like, you know, some of the messages sent me was like, damn, man, like it was like almost emotional, because it was like, you didn't realize how much you're impacting them. And it really woke me up, and I realized, man, stop looking at this window. There's a whole nother bunch of windows here that are people that you don't know that are looking for what you're doing, and that just get along with what you're doing, you know? So a lot of people, I feel, get stuck, not because they don't have the ability to create content or, you know, do stuff. Like, they don't even have the courage to like put stuff out there for people to judge and then get better at it. And that's what I said, like, a lot of people don't give onus to the fact that people are starting off here, but you haven't calculated the growth period. You haven't calculated the ups and downs and the lessons learned. All these things, by the time they get here and then keep going, is a massive jump. You know, and they're gonna get there. There's gonna be a period where they're gonna learn how things work. They're gonna have to learn how to put things together. No, you know, but everyone wants off the grid. They want to go straight, exactly, you know, and so many talented people, so many people I know have all these crazy ideas, but what stops them is those little things. It's the fact that, oh, I don't know if, like, what everyone else is going to think, or I'm not getting support, or, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck it, just put it out there for the world. Like, you know, like, people make fucking beats and whatever, and you know, and this is what I say, it's like some people get off on the idea and fantasize off the idea than the actual thing. So it's like, you know, park conversations or you know, pub conversations, bro, after a few. It's like, you know, they love talking about the idea of doing it, and that gets them off.
Because the idea they
it's
have
like, you know, it's fantasizing, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? You go home, yeah, and then you get up the next day and it's like, what now? You know what I mean? And you just gotta put it out there, man. Fuck if people like it or not, because there's always gonna be growth to get better. Anyone that is at the most elite level of whatever they do didn't get there by fucking people supporting them from the get-go. They got there by the fact that I don't give a shit who's supporting me. I'm just gonna keep putting shit out. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and eventually, right, it's gonna, you know, you're gonna carry on, because you're only gonna get better. You're gonna find ways to get better. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's the same with anything, man. You know, like, and I just been seeing that a lot lately. You know, and I mean, it's always been there, but to that level, like, I realized that people love to get off on the idea of doing things and the idea of talking about doing this and whatnot, you know. And I've had some few run-ins with few people that have, you know, checked, you know, just because the fact that, you know, they you know love to get on drinks and whatnot and talk about things, but next day they get up and they do nothing. So I'm like, what are you doing about it? You know what I mean? If you want to move forward, what are you willing to do about it? You know, if you're not going to do anything about it, it's going to be the same vicious circle over and over again. So then that's how people separate themselves. They're like, dude, that's not the kind of energy I want around me. You know what I mean? So and it's the same thing with you, man. People will always say whatever, but at the end of the day, all you can do is turn up the training every day. You go do what you're doing, and that's it, man. And everyone else will eventually realize, he wasn't fucking around. You know what I mean?
And there'll be downfalls and failures on the way, and people will jump on that and be, you know, from what you're saying, it's like the reason a lot of people, I think, don't act on things, and everyone's guilty of it in a certain way, is because an idea is often like based on an idealized version of yourself. So if you never act on that idea, that ideal version of yourself is safe in your head. Oh, if I had done this, I would have been this. But I don't have to prove it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so say with the fighting, like me doing the fighting, if I trained to be a fighter, I could be a world champion. It's like, but why didn't you do it? You know what I mean?
And what have you really gained from that? You know what I mean? From that train of thought. And then certain people may, you know, have been involved and interconnected with certain people and brands and businesses and organizations, and then it's like, well, two things. I'll get to two things, but like, and then by supporting you or getting behind you or even showing a bit of support to you, it's like, you know, it's almost like a scaling of where they are at, where you are at, you know? It's like, you know, you said when you're pros, you're back in the thing, but it's like, you know, to hang around with me, you gotta kind of, you know what I mean? And then when people know you so well, or when they think they know you so well, or you've been around them and you've grown up with them and you've hung around with them and you've, you know, had social moments with them and whatnot, right? In their head, they figured out who you are. So it's so hard for them to separate that from the fact that this guy has all these fucking crazy potential and ideas to want to do these things, because all they know of you is that person there. And that's what's beautiful about your friends, you know what I mean? It's beautiful is at the end of the day, you know, like one of the boys told me at the fight, they're like, man, I can't believe it's the same Charles from high school, you know, all this shit, you know what I mean? And he was just laughing about it, you know? I'm like, that's why it's important, because you don't know what someone's potential, you don't know what they're really capable of. Don't judge them by how you know them, man. Like, because if you allow them to really open up and show you know, who they really are and what they're capable of, who knows the kind of effect will have on you and what you guys could do together. You know what I mean? And that's what's beautiful, like all the fights that I've come to, for you know, for you, it's the same boys, you know what I mean? I know who you're talking about, obviously. But it's so good to see like how hard they go, how hard they cheer you, because it's fucking important. It feels like it's so good. Like all my fights, luckily, I've always had my cousins have, you know, I'm very close with a lot of my cousins, and my brother and a lot of my close friends, they turn up. They don't give a fuck. They turn up for whatever it is. They'll stay. You know what I mean? I had randoms that just appreciated what I did. I met them like 2 weeks before my boxing fight, and they had a dinner at their family's house in Castle Hill, and I was fighting in Blacktown. They didn't want to miss my fight, and my fight was not till like right at the end and later in the night. They went to their parents. He went to his parents with his wife, had dinner, and came back in time to watch me fight. And this dude, I literally have known him for like 3 weeks, bro. And it really showed me like some people just think differently, right? So you know, like that's why it's so good that at least you have mates, and like myself, like even from a young age, you know. And then you know, like you said, the 19, 20, 21, everyone's kind of growing up, figuring out who they are, and that sometimes causes a bit of chaos. But that's just what happens with growing up. You know what I mean? But then you get to a mature age, or where you're a bit more level-headed, and everyone's kind of grown into what they're doing, and then you kind of look back and think, you know, you don't want to lose this kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, so it's important, man. It's important because it's toxic. It's toxic because I just feel like so many people will never be able to show the world their talents purely on irrelevant things that seem relevant in their head. You know what I mean? And then half of it is just fabricated stuff that doesn't really exist, man. Like the thrill of just creating content, the thrill of creating art or doing whatever it is, man. That's what should be your main goal.
Definitely.
Everything else just kind of falls into place. You know. I know we kind of sidetrack, but that's just what we do. But yeah, man. So, and then obviously not thinking ahead, but I mean now do you have like goals of like fighting? You know, obviously a lot of your fights will be in Australia and interstate, but I mean, do you ever think that there might be fights for you elsewhere outside of Australia? I mean, like whether it's like say neighboring countries like New Zealand and even Asia, like you know what I mean. Now, like they'll be looking, you know what I mean. Definitely. So
well, that's the thing. It's trying to build those contacts so that you can make those matchups. I think,
because you've never taken a trip down to Asia, have you, and gone trained there? And
I've been to Thailand twice. And trained there.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Because that's a good way to make contacts. Because obviously, if they know you and stuff, then
So I think like China's a good one for kickboxing as well.
Maybe not right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
keep that guy, keep him there, bro. Don't let him come back. But like China's massive.
But I think in the end, obviously, the goal is glory. Glory kickboxing. I think as well, like with any of the big promotions, you've got to. They want someone that they think can sell fights as well. So I think, which I like, and like you said, I like doing stuff like making this content, like talking, promoting stuff. So I think that's gonna be well, because I think I can be able to be marketable
and I wanted to actually bring that up was that one of the really good things you're doing, and something that I've told a lot of guys that I know, like mates that fight and whatever, is man, just like I had Alan on the show yesterday. And we had a really good chat about that, just that aspect of just being able to like be visually seen and present in people's eyes and all over the world, right? And I was telling him, and he was saying like, man, you know, there's all these fighters, there's guys that have fought so many times, almost highest level of fights, and they just get overseen, you know, or they don't, you know, no one knows them, and he had a mate that was in the Contender Series for UFC and fucking did really well, but didn't tick all the boxes. And one of the boxes he didn't tick was his mic game. Right? And he was like, you know, and he was saying like, put me in there and I'll show you my talking. You know, and I said, it sucks that that's how it's become. But I have a choice to adapt with it, but you don't. And there's a lot of people like that are racked up fights, but they're like, personality wise, not that they've got a lack of personality, but it's just like no one really can relate to them, resonates with them, and that's just how the world is, you know, it is now, you know. And so, you know, everyone should take a book out of it. I mean, out of what you're doing. I mean, and a lot of people, not just you, I'm talking about a lot of people that do it, but it's such a good way to allow people into what you're doing and give them a sense of presence of who you are.
Yeah.
You know, everyone loves, like I said, man, and we spoke about this in the early days when you were doing, I said, and one of the things, that advice I gave you, and I'm not saying that's the advice that you've taken, but was that, like, you could have 6-7 fights and someone could have 20-25 fights, and the difference, and they may look at you and be like, man, we love, you know, and the difference is because people can engage with who you are as a person, you know what I mean? You know, and they're like, yeah, he's got a good record, but it's the fact that people can resonate. So, you know, and like I said, people are suckers for a really good story, because everyone loves a good story, because that's, you can always resonate with someone. Definitely. And then, you know, and there's always something about your life or what you've been through that someone else in a different, you know, other side of the world can be like, man, fuck, I know how he feels. How many times have you looked at all the professional athletes or you know, anyone that you look up to, and they tell you, you know, you dive into their story and you're like, man, there's something about that story that you resonate with because of what you went through, you know what I mean? So it's so good that again, you know, you're doing your vlogs and all that, and I think that'll be a big part of you being able to travel the world and be able to fight in beautiful places, and you know what I mean?
And there, because you've got to, I was thinking about it the other day, you can't, no one's just gonna knock on your door and say, hey, look, I'm gonna promote you full time. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one's gonna come and say, like, I'm gonna promote you, and so by doing it yourself and putting your own content out there, and by, you can, one, control the narrative of how you're portrayed. Do you know what I mean? You've got the power of what you're putting out there. Two, you got infinite amount of opportunities to, you know, you don't have to wait for a camera crew to come in. You don't have to wait for this. You don't have to wait for someone to message you and say, oh, come and do my podcast. You can put yourself out there just whenever you want to. And I think that was my goal with, you know, the amateurs, was to start building that name for myself. Like, I mean, I feel like it's not, I'm not trying to brag, but it's like, it's facts. Like, when I go to shows, I don't see amateurs with the same amount of support and following that were at my shows, because I think that's purely because people are worried about, people can do it, but they're worried about what people think. Other amateurs aren't doing that, so why are you doing that? So, well, show me the rules that tell me that I can't do it.
And it doesn't take anything away from how serious you're. Like, some people obviously like, no man, I'm just all about turning up and fighting, and that's fine. And that's no different to what you're trying to do. You know, but you got to be, you know, people always are complaining about promotions and complaining about not being able to get fights and being,
having no power.
Like, you know, and I don't think a lot of people understand the power of doing these things, you know. So that's why I like to work with certain athletes and be like, yo, you know, like, let's do this, let's do that. Like, you may not see the benefits of it, but I guarantee you one day you're gonna look back and think, fuck, thank God I let you do this shit for me, you know what I mean? 100%. Because you don't understand the importance of being able to put yourself out there and being able to connect with so many people. And you gotta remember, bro, look at the day of age we're living in. Fucking just through social media, like, we were laughing the other day how, like, you just can WhatsApp call somebody in another country, tell them exactly what time you're gonna call them, and call them. People forget, bro, one day you couldn't even do that.
That's crazy.
You can just, by building your profile, connect with thousands of people from all over the world, like all over the world. And at the same time, you know, open doors for you. And so, you know what I mean? So it's such a big aspect.
At the touch of a button, you literally have access to so many people, man. And you know, and you'll be foolish to think that there aren't other people like you, or people that follow what you do and enjoy, you know, and get behind you. Like, you're foolish to think that other people aren't like that. You know what I mean? Our skin, our facials, everything might be different, but our spirit and our understanding of life and all those aspects of quality of life, it's the fucking same. It's the same everywhere. Like, you know, people's struggle to wherever they got there through their families and the history of the community and the migrating. You know, it's funny, like, different culture, and it's the same thing. I was telling him, I'm like, you know what's funny? I'm like, bro, you and your family went through the same shit me and my family went through. The only difference is the narrative. The story's different, and how you went about it is different. But the feeling of
the feeling of the struggle and the pain and the love and everything that comes with it is the same. You know what I mean? So that's why we get along. But yet you're completely, your dialect and your religion and everything is different to mine. Everything is different to mine. But yet when we talk, we're talking like as if we grew up in the same neighborhood. You know what I mean? And that's not chance. That's not coincidence. That's life, man. That's how people are, So, and that's why I said, it's almost like, it's like a leverage, bro, and it's like, you want to take the power away from other people, like say, promotions or promoting you and whatever, and say, if you promote yourself and you build yourself up to a certain platform, right? And then they come knock you saying whatever, then you've taken the power away from them. You're like, yo, like this is how many people I can bring to your show, and you know what I mean? And the more people that do that, the more we can move out of these same old, kind of, halls and fucking those kind of places that never goes any bigger in seats and numbers and keeps calling the same people all the time, right? And it's not that the same people shouldn't come, but what are you doing to grow the sport? You need to tap into not just fight fans, but you need to be able to tap, like, obviously, you got sponsors, right? And you got sponsors from, different businesses or whatever it is, right? Same thing with the fight game. You need to be able to reach out to other people, like the entertainment aspects of things, and bring them in and bring investors in, and that's how you can grow the sport, grow it outside of just fight fans, you know what I mean? And help grow the sport, and by you doing like things with your visuals and your vlogs and whatever, you're having a bit more leverage on yourself over them, because it's like, well, I'm not just coming to you like begging like, hey, can I get on your show? You're almost like, dude, I want you on my show, because like in their eyes, this guy's got a following. People get behind him. Having him on the show means 50 tickets are going to be sold, you know what I mean? Which is a big number, That's pretty much like probably in if we're talking fights now, that's a whole quarter of the place gone, you know what I mean? Exactly, So, and which is important. I just, I mean, some people don't want to do it, and that's fair enough. Like, that's fair enough. And, but I think, if you're not willing to move with the times, then you're just going to be left back, man. You know what I mean? And you want to, end of the day, you want to make it about the fighting, but it's always bigger than that, man. There's always a story. You just don't know who you're going to touch. You don't know who's going to turn around and be like so inspired by what you're doing. You know what I mean? And people just don't give credit because you're not on main event pay-per-view. But you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, everyone and anyone that has got there
has to start somewhere.
It's to start somewhere, man. And people just keep forgetting that. They look at the start and the end. They never look at the in-betweens, man. And I always say the in-betweens, if you pay attention, that's where the growth happens. That's where all the figuring out shit happens. That's where you're like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. How am I going to go about it? You know what I mean? It's like you just things with me editing and photos and, figuring out, okay, this is what works. You'll figure it out. If you want to figure it out, you're going to figure it out. But, if you keep thinking about progression and what other people are thinking, then you just you're in it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? So, but, have you, man, I mean, we could go anywhere with this, but I mean, it's exciting, man. I mean, it's exciting, the fact that, I mean, I'm happy for you. I'm happy where you're at, and I'm happy where you're going. Have you ever considered, like, I mean, I know you said you went to Thailand, you've trained a few times in Thailand and stuff. Have you ever considered wanting to go anywhere else? And I
went to Holland as well.
Oh, you went to Holland as well? You fit in there perfectly.
I didn't feel that tall there.
I was going to say.
Walking around.
That's the heart of the best kickboxers in the world,
No, it's different the way they train. Very, I went to Mike's gym. I was only there for about a week, but just, very intense the way they train. Their sparring is just, the way they spar, like I swear they spar harder than they fight. Like, they're more measured and stuff when they fight. The way they spar, it just felt like they were just brawling, like with their teammates, high level guys just throwing hard. And look, like, for me, that's not how I like to do things, because I think like longevity is important. But it breeds for them. It's a formula that works. It breeds tough fighters. But I was thinking. It'd be cool to do a US trip at some point as well, just to experience it. I know Glory I know they do shows in like Chicago, Miami.
They're slowly trying to get into that market as well, because was Rico and Bonnyrigg in the US, or was that in the Netherlands?
That was in the Netherlands, a stadium show. I think
it was a stadium show,
40,000.
right? 40,000.
It was in the Netherlands.
I think I saw like the Joe Rogan podcast with Rico Verhoeven, and he was saying that they're trying to bring some fights to like LA and big stuff, fights, like start to kind of like because the whole conversation was why has it never got big and why is it not as big as there, but I think they're trying to bring shows to the US and whatnot, and
once again it's promotion. The reason it's not as big as it is promotion. I think with MMA a lot of people like casuals, they'll watch it and they'll get annoyed when it goes to the grounds. And it's like, well, why don't then I always think, well, why don't they watch kickboxing? The reason they don't watch kickboxing is because the stories aren't promoted as well. And the UFC, the stories are promoted like nothing else. They take someone that's not even that interesting. Do you know what I mean? They can just turn him into someone, and people are just invested in by the way they promote it.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
You've got someone like Harry in kickboxing, like, such an interesting character, but like they just don't. They don't really promote it. They don't promote it well enough.
Like if you even see Bonnyrigg at his press conferences, he's fucking like he's like 0 to 100 real quick. You know what I mean?
And the way he fights.
And it's like, dude, like imagine if you get to dive into what this guy's thinking, you know what I mean? So again, man, that's it, bro. Like, you know, it's everything that we've been talking about. It's just a matter of promotion, a matter of, you know, storytelling. Like I'm not there yet, but I've got a kind of foundation for like our own show segment via Mercenary Entertainment called Inside the Trenches. And you know, it's similar to the idea of similar to UFC Embedded. But I want to kind of dive into not so much doing promo videos, but them leading up to fights.
Like real, what's really going on?
What's really going on in the gym, being able to capture the coaches in their elements, talking to the coaches, you know, whilst training is happening, and kind of like, you know, mindset, what they're thinking, and dive into it. So it's something that I've been thinking about. Nobody better fucking copyright that shit, but I had this idea for ages, but it came down to how am I going to go about it, and then you know, so I'm hoping sometime this year I've got a candidate that I want to start off with. And then hopefully I can, you know, start building on that, and so people can get a better, you know, kind of deeper understanding, and it's not fucking rocket science, man. Like, you know, it's hard work, but it's not rocket science. But it's different when you have a love for it. Like I love that aspect of it. That's why I love the embeddeds and the UFC countdowns and everything. I love watching it, especially for big fights, because it's like whoa. Get chills when you're just, you know, seeing them in their element, and you know, kind of seeing what they got to go through, and that's what makes it, man. It's the theater. It's the theater of fighting, drama, like, you know, and the drama, and you know, when you add all that in.
People want a story.
People want a story. It just
narrative.
Exactly, man. And you know, it's funny, like if you left something on paper, on records, you already in your head can make up your mind, and man, he's gonna fuck this guy over, you know, just by looking at the tail of the tape. You know what I mean? Right? But then you watch a build-up video for it. They will, like you said, the other guy that everyone reckons is just gonna get finished, right? They'll dive into his story, and you hear him talk, and then the doubt creeps in your head. You're like, oh fuck, man, I don't know, man. This guy looks ready. Like this guy looks like he's, you know, he's not gonna take a back step. And then the doubt creeps in. You're like, and then it's like, you know what, man, I had it like a 70-30 split. Now it's like a maybe a 60-40, or a, you know, even closer to halfway, because there's that element of doubt. You know what I mean? And that's what it does. That's what the whole theater does. Is that it makes the unknown happen, and then people like to kind of tune into the unknown, because you know, and it's like even the latest Rico Verhoeven and Bonnyrigg fight, until it got stopped. I think Butter did something to his knee, or legs, or injured or something. He was fucking fighting a good fight, man. He was dominating. Dropped him twice. You know, so and then, you know, and everyone would have sat there thinking, oh yeah, Rico's, Butter's gotten older and Rico's, still in his prime and he's, he's been there, done it, and then people watching that fight till that moment it came would have been like, holy shit, what's happening here? But that was one of the, probably out of glory in their championship fights, probably the most investment they put in promoting a fight too.
Yeah, definitely. And it was like worthwhile as well
watching, because they're two elite kickboxers, man. So,
and if you look at like that was, I think for me that was a massive moment for kickboxing, and I think obviously it's only going to get better. But you need, once again, like people say, oh, so kickboxing is not as big as, it's probably not as big as say MMA or boxing. It's like, but all it takes is a few people to get it to that level. Look at MMA a few years ago, like it wasn't, they had diehard fans, but then no one on the outside would tune in if a UFC card was on. Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor come along, and now it's probably one of the most watched sports. Do you know what I mean? Most talked about. So you just got to be, like we were saying before, willing to put yourself out there, because no one else, if you're not going to do it yourself, who else is going to do it?
Exactly. You can't just sit there and wait for the next guy to do it.
Fall into your lap.
Especially when you know that's what needs to be done. If you know yourself, and no one is asking you to do it to a level where you're fucking selling yourself out, going to a point where you're like, kind of like, that this guy's someone from a storybook, what I mean? No one's asking anyone to go to that level, but I think a dialogue needs to be created between people, and especially fighters, man, because like I said, that's just how people connect to people.
Stories,
that's the thing, people just, they love a good story, man, and then that kind of, they just get behind whoever it is. And it's not even just in fighting, in anything, man. Whether it's basketball, whether it's soccer, or whatever it is, man. When people know about who that person is, they get behind it, man. So, what are you doing these days in terms of inspiration, man? How do you keep yourself inspired, and how do you kind of keep yourself, level checked, and what do you kind of do to grow that aspect of yourself, like just to. Because I know it's a big thing for you.
Definitely.
And I know that you look at you go to different places for. So what do you kind of do, like, to try to kind of keep yourself inspired and kind of push that level of thought?
I think for me, the one thing that's become pretty habitual now is that, and I don't really think about it too much in terms of because it's a habit. I think I've built a good habit of doing it. Is the always comparing what I'm doing with whether that's conducive to being the best version of myself. Do you know what I mean? So whether that be in training, and where I'm thinking, oh, I'll just do one less round, and then straight away that thought in my head goes, is that the best version of yourself? Like, what, you know what I mean? So it's always trying to compare myself to that, and then, because I feel if you do that on a daily basis, then you're just constantly making little gains, and then in the course of a year, you've progressed so much. One recently for me was obviously everyone was sort of affected by Kobe Bryant when he died, and it just got me sort of just listening to a few of the things that he talked about, and just the whole Mamba mentality thing, and just having that in the mind as well. I remember a few weeks after it's happening, I was just thinking about that Mamba mentality, and I think what he stood for was just outworking everyone else and doing as much work as you could. I think sometimes he probably, in my opinion, he overtrained a little bit, like what he talked about. Like, I think you still got to rest and recover. That's why people like David Goggins, I don't really resonate with as much, because, as being an athlete, if I don't have a rest day, or if I push through when I'm feeling injured or tired,
you got to train smart, man. You got to be smart.
Make it worse.
100%. You got to be smart. It doesn't mean, again, it's an ego thing, right? Like, I know people that have got injured because they will be like, yo, why aren't you coming today? It's my rest day. Oh, stop being a bitch.
Exactly.
What happened? Fucking go injured. You get what I'm saying? It's like, dude, you got to be smart. That's why I feel like recovery is such a big thing, man, because it's like, not even just like your saunas and whatnot. But like, I know you're a big fan of yoga and sleep, and and I've been, fucking talking about Qigong forever. I tell every person to do it. But that gave me more confidence than even a lot of my training. Like, I mean, training gave me confidence, but being able to go through just me time made me realize, dude, you're putting in the work. It's all right, man. Calm the fuck down. You know what I mean? You're because a lot of the anxiety comes from the fact that, am I doing enough? But really you are. But when you're in that state of mind, whether it's fatigue or you're tired, or you've had a long week of training, that creeps up into your thoughts, and then creeps up into your demeanor, and then creeps up into your way of thinking. And then you just start to look and think about shit that you don't need to. And you think about it in a way that you're like, why am I even thinking like this? And the second you go through something that allows you to be able to dive into your mind and speak to yourself and see what's going on and whatnot, you come out of it, you're like, nah, I'm fucking alright, bro. I'm good. You know what I mean? That's like, that's not just magic. That's because you're allowing your body to go through. You need that. You need that just as much as anything else, if not, you know, about the same. You know, like it's so important to have that state. So going back to you, inspired by you're talking about the Kobe, you know, and so do you, and what else, like do you tend to kind of, you know, read books or watch certain documentaries or kind of dive into certain people? Like, I think that's what I often I'll be interested in, like a certain person and look into their mindset and stuff like that. But I think I did that more when I didn't know myself as much. Do you know what I mean? Now that I've started to know myself and what works, I feel like I've got a good, and also I have my off days and I have times like I was stressing the other day about certain things, and then you realize like, no, that's just a ridiculous thing to be stressing about. But you only get there when you start to know yourself I haven't had enough sleep. So that's why I'm thinking like this. Okay, get a good sleep. I feel better. It's funny how you instantly feel better, right? Sleep is so simple. So I think in terms of inspiration, it's that, and I think for me as well, like just having the goal and having the challenge. So like we were saying before, if it's when it's higher, the higher the stakes, the bigger the challenge, the more inspired you're going to be to go and work and push towards that. When it's lower stakes and there's no challenge involved, then it's easy to start slacking. So for me, one thing when I was injured with my hands was so easy to be able to try and slack off, but I just didn't let myself. Yeah, I saw you with the one glove training. I wanted to post that stuff because I wanted to show people like there are no excuses. There are no limits. Like you create those excuses for yourself. So like you said, it doesn't mean that my what is it, your left hand? Yeah, it's my left. Yeah, well, left hand's fucked, but my right hand's good. My left leg's good, and my right leg's good, and I can do so much shit with that. 100%. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did. And that was hard to stay, and sometimes you just feel tired and frustrated knowing there's not going to be a fight coming up soon. But little do they know, inside you're like, fuck this shit. Look at this guy, man. He's so courageous, he's so inspirational. Little do they know, when you go home, you're thinking, fuck, man, I want this hand to recover. I think that's part of the journey, isn't it? And what that time allowed me to do though was really sort of think, okay, like because when you're working towards something, you don't really have time to think about, I think, whether you really want it or not. It just becomes a habit to be working towards that. When the ability to work towards that gets taken away from you, or there's a bump in the road and you have a bit of time to think, you start thinking, what do I want my life, like is this what I want to do? And then there were no doubts in my mind that I wanted to do this. Something like, I remember when I was younger, the thought of getting surgery used to just terrify me. As soon as they said to me, like, get onto a better chance to recover, I would just straight away book it in, go and get it done a few days later. Do you know what I mean? Like, there were no thoughts, doubts in my mind. So for me, that showed me, it was like overcoming a past fear, because I knew that this is what I wanted to achieve. And it was just so clear to me that's what I wanted to do. So I think it's like anything, you can grow from those little adversities, and I think the main inspiration now just comes from just knowing yourself and knowing what you want to achieve, and knowing that sometimes you're not going to feel that motivated, but that's where discipline comes in. Sometimes when it's almost scary when you figure that out, because you're like, holy shit, my whole consciousness, my whole way of thinking, the way I walk, the way I talk, the way I go about interacting and dealing with things completely changes. And you're like, holy shit, like now I'm like getting to one of my most dangerous selves, dangerous in a good way, meaning like my potential, you know what I mean? That's it. A lot of things just comes down to that light switch of how you think. You know, how you think when, you know, it's like the old age-old, you know, thing about training. It's like I always, you know, tell people, my mates used to ask me, like, dude, how the fuck do you go Saturday morning? These guys have come back from the city and they're still awake. And then they're ringing me and they're like, it's funny, bro. We're ringing at 6:30, like 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're heading off to your second session. You know, because I'm like, bro, I know what it takes. And I'm like, I'm lying to myself if I think that I could just skip, and you know what I mean?
100%.
But when you want something so badly, you get up on your worst days, and I said you should be training on your worst days, because if you can train on your worst days, then it's gonna make the good days fucking even better. And then you don't realize, like, it's like, you know, I got up at 5:30 today to go to training, right, to do my strength and conditioning, and I remember going there, and you know, music's pumping, the fucking sun's not even out, you know, and I'm driving, and then afterwards on the way back here, came fucking ready to do backflips, you know, my computer started editing, you know what I mean, and your whole demeanor changes, but once but you know what's funny, it's you get when you understand the process, and then you get addicted to the process, you know what's waiting on the other side. So you already know, and that's scary, because you know, okay, I'm tired, but if I go and train afterwards, I'm gonna feel like a beast. I'm gonna feel animal. I'm gonna feel good. I'm gonna feel confident. I'm gonna feel strong. And when you put that in your mindset every day, like that's just what, you know, that's how this thing works. Then you know, there's no slip ups. You know what I mean? There's no. I should have done this and I should have done that, you know what I mean? And because you've realized the benefits of what happens when you know, when you do turn up, when you don't want to turn up, you know what I mean?
100%.
So,
and that comes from knowing yourself again, doesn't
no,
it?
100%. Because you create things, you know, like, you know, you man, like people might just think, oh yeah, you know, like you're here right now and they're watching. You can see how much fucking wiring and lighting and all this shit's going on right now, right? You can see it. Like the world doesn't. But to think from an idea and a thought to now, like, you know, you'll be my 16th podcast, right? And there's no slowing down to like all these other things, like, and you know, just like when you do it and then it's come through and you've seen it, you're like, man, I was so scared about how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna put it together? How am I gonna edit it? And then it's gone to like music, to intros, to fucking, you know, shit flying left, shit flying right, you know, shit flying upwards, but you know what I mean? And then you realize, like, man, I can do this, because, and all it takes is just doing it once, then doing it twice, and then you're learning, and then you realize, man, fuck, I can actually do this if I do it, you know what I mean? If I just put my head down and complete one whole process, one whole thing, then you realize, man, I just did something that seemed like, it seemed impossible for me at one point. Like, how am I gonna do this? Now it's like, fucking not even rocket science for me. It's all routine. Come in, flick this switch, bang, bang, plug, bang, bang. All right, done.
Like I didn't even know we'd started today.
Yeah. So, you know, and it come back to knowing yourself, knowing that, you know what, if I do put my mind to something that I really enjoy, and that's what it's going to be, I really enjoy, it's going to pay off, man. Don't scale it to anything. Don't judge it to what a standard. No, judge it to how you feel. Judge it to how it makes you feel. You know, and it makes me feel like I've achieved so much, and then makes whatever you do, like it makes you achieve so. It makes you feel like you achieved so much. You know what I mean? And that's how you should be feeling. You know, fuck scaling it to anything else. And again, like that mindset that, you know, like if I do this, A, B, C, then D, E, F, and then, you know, things will happen. And then when you get addicted to that idea of that process, that's all I always used to ramble on about it, and just like I'm rambling now, I used to ramble on about the being addicted to the process, because I just couldn't believe, like, especially my last fight, like what I did in those 3 months. Like people can say, oh yeah, you know, MMA, kickboxing, whatever, but boxing is boxing, kickboxing is kickboxing, MMA is MMA. Even though there's boxing elements, learning a sport for what it is completely different. And in 3 months, not saying I fucking learned everything about boxing, but what I went through that, it wasn't that what stood out to me. It's that in December, and I fought first week of April, right? I said in December, I will be ready by the time March comes around. I said that in my head. I gave myself 3 months. Even when I told coach and all, I'm like, hey, do you want to, there's a show coming, do you want to compete on it? I said, yeah. There was an element of shock, like, are you serious? I said, yeah, I'll be fucking ready. It didn't change me getting my ass kicked. It didn't change me having to go home thinking, fuck, I can't, like, you would know with sparring, the worst thing about it, you can't wait till you spar again. Because you sit there like, I should have done this, I should have done that. And then you're going to sit there and think, fuck, I've got to wait till next week. You know what I mean? And then, but it didn't change any of that. It didn't change any of the hardest of lessons I had to learn to get my skills to where it needed to be. But it was the fact that I knew it was a process. I knew that process. I knew that you turn up to training, you look after yourself, you look after how you yourself outside of the training, right? In life, and who you talk to, how you do things, how you kind of spend time with yourself and family and whatever. All those things, you just look after it and you do it to your best of your ability, then the result will come. And that's all I thought. I just knew that. I knew that because of previous experiences and not in just in fighting, but in anything that I've really wanted to do.
And it's just a simple formula that applies to everything. Really.
Just put your head down and work, and everything else is just gonna come. It's gonna show. It's like that movie Beautiful Mind. You know what I mean? All these algorithms and all this shit. It comes to you because you see. I can go this way. Like the amount of even just pro athletes that I've been able to connect with just by knowing you or knowing other people, and everyone's in the there's different circles. Then with my cousin and what he's doing with Full Guard and the Full Guard athletes, like my family, and like then I got another family who's a physio, who's Josh's physio. He's actually related to me through family. So we were talking on the side because he saw me dealing with a few people, like doing some stuff with Adam, and so I got Adam to go there and get his physio treatments there, and you know what I mean. And fucking last year, if you asked me, bro, I wouldn't have told you. I would know half these people, but you know what I mean. But it just comes with knowing that the doors opened by just doing a podcast with this person, or doing some photography work for this person, or doing some video work for this person. And it's like, hey, this person shared it, that person saw it. Whatever, and then before you know it, they're like, oh yeah, they're following you, and then you know what I mean, and it all just comes. But I didn't go directly to them. I went this way, but the door's open, So it's just you got to put your head down and just do your work, man. But listen, man, we can talk all day. But I just wanted to have you on because I thought it was just special to just at least celebrate. I don't want to celebrate too early. I know you haven't fought yet, but it's still worth. It's still worth sitting down and the journey, exactly, man. I just wanted to have you on to let you know that minus the haters, bro. We're all here for you, man. And we'll support you and don't take a step back. And I know you won't. And keep doing what feels right for you, man. And we appreciate you, and fucking go do your thing. And man, just let them know, just let them know what I do, and just let them know, if they want the best, they gotta come to the best. So I just play. I'm just talking my shit now, man. We just want to celebrate your journey so far, and wish you luck for your first pro fight, man. And I want to try my best to be there as well. And even if I'm not, we're behind you, man. And it's only the second podcast, man. With you, there'll be plenty more in the future. 100%. And I'm sure we'll get to do some more exciting things that I've got, planted in my head as well. So for those that don't know, Charles got his own YouTube channel now, where he has his vlogs. So a day in the life of Charlie Boy, and it's Charles, but I call him Charlie Boy. And check him out on Instagram, on Facebook. Twitter, you don't have Twitter.
No, Twitter.
Not ready to tweet shit, eh?
No.
I'm already tweeting shit.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm calling everyone out. I just want to get some now. I've got a Twitter for Motion Entertainment.
Oh man.
But I just have it there and I just post it like I love my Insta and stuff, but it's very early stages. But yeah, give him a follow, man. Support his journey. I know him. He's a good person, and you know, he's got a great heart, and hopefully, you know, with your fighting and with your goals of being a champion, man, you know, you could do something. You know, you will do something for society in general. You know, to inspire them and to you know, and be a service of them. And that's kind of what I tell everyone, man. Just do something to help the people around you, inspire them.
Give back.
Yeah, give back, exactly, man. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it, bro. I appreciate you coming and dropping through, man. It's always a good chat, huh?
Always.
Thank you, bro. Nice. How's that all good?
Yeah, it's good, bro. It's good.
Just hour and a half or something.
Was it?
Hour and 20, yeah, bro.
Just flows, bro.
Yeah.